Hi gang, this is Lynn. I'm back for Cranking Out Crafts, and on today's episode I'm going to show you how to do this resin technique with UV resin, and we're going to make this Seafoam seashell charm. So I'm going to be taking some of these pecten shells, I think that's how you pronounce it, I'm not really sure, but I'm going to take like a really big one to show you all the details on how this is done. We're going to take some UV resin onto my silicone mat, and I'm going to be using Vitrea in Cloud. Now, Vitrea in Cloud is a true white, and it is opaque depending on how much you put in. And of course, remember, the more you put in, the more you're going to compromise the resin's ability to cure properly. Now, if you can see on the inside of the shell, there's a lot of brown area. I want to try and lighten that up. So I'm going to take that resin and kind of cover some of that brown up, just to lighten it a little bit. That way what we're going to put on top of it will pop better. I'm going to put it into the light for about 20 seconds because it's the first layer, so that should be sufficient to set it. So this is going to go into the UV light right now. I'm going to now make the color of my water. So some UV resin again, and this time I'm going to be using Vitrail in Cobalt. Now the Vitrail versus Vitrea. Vitrail is translucent. Vitrea is opaque, and I want the water to be translucent. And I kind of put a little bit too much, but this is a really big shell, so that's all right. Now I'm going to set it on my work spot with some Uhu tack. Remember, we've used this before with our UV resin. It allows me to set my shell in a somewhat stable position onto my work surface. And now I'm just going to scoop in the colored resin. Try to get everything off of that silicone mat. And that's super dark, so, and I have a lot of space, so I'm just going to add UV resin into the shell and mix it up. And of course, you can adjust the color if you want something more greenish or turquoise or whatnot. That's perfectly fine. And I'm being rough on purpose to make some bubbles. I want to get some bubbles into my UV resin to kind of add into that ocean idea of it. Now I have a little bit of blue up here. I'm not going to worry about it. We're going to cover that up. This is going to go into the light for, let's say, 30 to 45 seconds. So while we're waiting for that resin to cure, I'm going to make some more white using Cloud. We're going to do a very thin layer on top. And I don't want to make it extremely white. just enough to get that color in, but just maybe semi-translucent. And we don't need a lot of this. Okay, I probably made too much, but we'll see. We'll see how it works. Okay, so I have a huge bubble, but that's all right. That's all right. I'm going to reposition my shell so that it angles a little bit coming forward, because I want to keep the layer of white towards the front. So let me just put some of this in. And I'm gonna go and spread it out. So the key is to do a thin layer. So part of the technique I'm showing you involves dropping in some clear resin to create that seafoam design. Now I'm going to take drops of clear UV resin. I'm going to use a toothpick to help with this and just drop it in. It's going to create that effect, that honeycomb. It's almost like a honeycomb effect, and it creates a little clear area. Wherever a drop is, there's going to be a clear area that allows you to see what's on the bottom. And then if you want to do bigger drops, go for it. If your drop is too small, add a little bit more clear inside. And I'm not really going to worry about uniformity, because this is a seafoam effect. It's supposed to be a very natural looking concept. Okay, so there's my seafoam. I'm going to set this in the light for 30 seconds. I'm going to add clear UV resin. I'm going to spread it out a bit, right up to the edges of the shell. And I'm going to bring in a little bit of sand, just to sprinkle along the edge. I do not recommend that you try to do a shortcut. Okay, so here's what I did. Okay, I thought, oh yeah, I'll make it really easy and I'll set some sand in UV resin and be able to just bring it out really fast. But no, you leave it in the resin, it sets, it soaks in, and it actually starts to darken after a while, so your sand looks kind of dirty. So don't do that. Learn from my mistakes. Now we're going to be putting in some shells. The tinier you can find, the better, because then you'll be able to put in a lot more. Even a little bit of coral. So any of the little things that you pick up at the beach, this is a really great way to use those things and make a little keepsake. Careful of where you go though. Some of the stuff you can't take home. But we're gonna put in a few caviar beads. Again, just for a little bit of accent here and there. And the final touch is going to be gluing on or resining on this charm so that I have something to attach a chain to turn it into a hanging charm for the entire thing. This is really big. So too big for maybe a pendant, but great for something to attach to my purse. And this can go into the light for, let's leave it in for a minute just to be sure everything's cured properly. You can do the same effect with our silicone molds. This is a workshop that we're going to be having at our Mapunapuna store in September. It's called Seafoam Charm. And we're going to be using our silicone molds and teaching you guys how to do this technique. Going to add a little bit of shells, a little bit of accent, smaller size if you want to compare. So much more doable for a charm. But this is a really fun way with the UV resin, a technique that maybe you've seen on Pinterest, I'm not sure, but very easy to do, and it's already set. And a nice way to take the beach along with you to maybe a landlocked area. Thanks for stopping by. See you guys later.